One, America's never going to pay its debt. It doesn't have to. Its debts are in its own currency. We can simply print it.
Imagine that you are told to be wild and free, and still you are asked to do anything you like without any jurisdiction. In this video, we are going to talk about how and when the United States dollar became the global reserve currency, why the United States dollar abandoned the gold standard, the rising of Brics, Brics economic and political objectives, Brics strengths and weaknesses, and whether the Brics can de-weaponize dollar or become major competitor. Let's go. After World War II, 44 allied countries came to an agreement and created the Bretton Woods Agreement in New Hampshire. The United States is payable to fixed rate of exchange of all foreign currency to the United States dollar, where the United States will redeem any dollar for its value in gold. That is, the number of dollars that the US can print is subject to the capacity of their gold reserve. Well, this move is good because gold is natural and limited. Nobody can artificially manufacture a real gold. At the time, the United States was the only country largely not affected by the war, while the economies of European countries had been severely affected. Since the US held most of the world gold supply and the gold-backed dollar was relatively stable, it was agreed that the US dollar would be the official reserve currency, thus allowing the other countries to back their currency with dollar rather than gold. The idea seems to be nice and effective because nobody knows what the future holds. In August 1971, President Nixon spared the direct convertibility of US dollar into gold.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets.
With this decision, the international currency market, which had become increasingly reliant on dollar since the enactment of the Bretton Woods Agreement, lost its formal connection to gold. The US dollar, and by extension, the global financial system it effectively sustained, entered the era of fiat money. The reason why the US abandoned the gold standard in 1971 is to curb inflation and prevent foreign nations from overburdening the system by redeeming their dollars for gold. This further means that all currencies are still backed by the US dollar, but the dollar is no longer backed by anything. This further implies that the US can print as much dollar as they want to fund their deficit. This status has given the United States significant economic and political advantages, as well as the ability to enforce sanctions and control international financial transactions. The breach of the Bretton Woods Agreement make the global economy to suffer a severe setback whenever the Federal Reserve prints more money to fund their deficits. However, this arrangement had its drawbacks. Countries wanted to leave the dollar because the dollar is weak and it is used as a weapon. Suddenly, the idea of Brics emerged as a major global player to serve as a shield and messiah to protect the global economy from illegal invasion and the weaponization of the United States dollar against their rivals, because they recognized the risks associated with the current dollar-centric system. However, it is important to note that the weaponizing dollar completely will require significant changes in the global financial system, widespread adoption of alternative currencies or payment systems, and cooperation among multiple countries. It is a complex process that will take time and face various challenges. Bric idea was conceived by Goldman Sachs. It was first Bric before it is officially became Brics. South Africa officially became a member nation on 24th of December 2010 after being formally invited by China to join and subsequently accepted by other Brics countries. The group was renamed Brics, with the S standing for South Africa to reflect the group's expanded membership. But before then, the foreign ministers of the initial four BRIC general states, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, on September 2006, met in New York at the margins of the United Nations General Debate and started a series of high-level meetings. On 16 June 2009, a full diplomatic scale meeting was held in Russia. In the aftermath of the Russia summit, the BRICS nation announced the need for the new global currency, which will have to be diverse, stable, and predictable. Although the statement that was released did not directly criticize the perceived dominance of the US dollar, something that Russia had criticized in the past, it did spark a fall in the value of the dollar against other major currencies. However, it is worth noting that the BRICS countries has a significant impact on the global economy and international trade. They are known for their large population, rapid economic growth, and the increasing influence in the global markets, such as their combined transaction volume in the United States dollar multiplier is likely to be substantial. The BRICS countries from 2009 to 2014 agreed on economic and financial issues, including World Bank and IMF reforms. They agreed to undertake measures of mobilizing sufficient resources so that the IMF can strengthen its potential to combat all kinds of crises. They also created the BRICS Inter-Cooperation Mechanism that provide extending credit facility in local currency and the BRICS Exchanges Alliance. The BRICS has expressed interest in funding projects that conform to high environmental standards, including those in the field of infrastructure such as energy, railways, highways, in the future through their National Development Bank. The BRICS also offered to provide protection against global liquidity pressures through the Contingent Reserve Arrangement, which is generally seen as a competitor to the International Monetary Funds. The BRICS mechanism aims to promote peace, security, development, and cooperation. It also aims at contributing significantly to the development of humanity and establishing a more equitable and fair world. They also focus on some regional issues, including the problems related to Libya, Syria, Afghanistan, and Iran. BRICS also coordinated together in resolving conflict, the struggle against illicit drugs trafficking, the need, use, and the development of technologies in information and communication. The BRICS countries also sought to create a favorable condition for barrier-free trade. The BRICS countries has a significant strength. BRICS countries occupy 30% of the global territory, making the BRICS to have enough arable land to cultivate food, to feed themselves and export the surplus. They are home to 45% of the world's population, and it accounts for 20 trillion of GDP, which is growing at 28% growth rates. And it has no European or US as a member. More people lead to greater human capital. If there are more people, the probability of finding a genius increase. This advantage can lead to technological and cultural masterpiece with enriched lives. BRICS population means they have a bigger pool of human capital, and the possibility of both technological and economic advancement increase. Economic upscale, the improved demographic structure of the society, higher economic growth, the efficiency of higher population density, access to average labor and average wages are also an advantage to be looked at. BRICS combined foreign reserves are estimated at around $4 trillion. Their contribution to global economic growth over the last decade has reached 50%, which makes the group of the states the leading power of global economic development. BRICS' share of the global output will increase from 18% according to the market exchange rate to 25 or 26% over the next 10 years, and even one-third by 2030. In PPP terms, it is about 30% of the world's GDP at the moment. By 2020, it will be 37 to 38 and increasing to as much as 45% by about 2030. In 2011, the BRICS share of GDP based on the PPP amounted to about 20% to 25%, estimated at $13.7 trillion US. With a lot of countries aspiring to become members, some of which they have formally applied to become members of the bloc. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Nigeria, with proven oil and gas reserves are aspiring to become members. With all these countries coming together under one bloc, then one could easily agree that the bloc could almost have the monopoly of oil and gas supply. Research shows that Brent crude oil is the most traded commodity globally in 2022. There is an inverse relationship between oil and dollar. When the dollar is strong, oil will be cheap. But if the dollar is weak, then the price of oil will rise and cause the United States trade balance deficit to rise, as more dollars are needed to be sent abroad. If at any point the BRICS took over the monopoly of oil and gas supply, the group can continue to influence the price of crude oil by raising it so as it can widen the gap of the US trade deficit, which will eventually affect the US economy and the United States dollar. This will further slow down the weaponization of dollar. In addition, Brazil is the 6th most populous country in the world, 8th biggest oil producer in the world. Also, it is a major food exporter and industrial powerhouse. Russia is the 3rd biggest oil producer in the world, as well as major exporter of timber, iron, gold, diamond, and wheat. India is a rising star in the global economy with huge base in manufacturing and huge base in engineering, and the 5th biggest economy in the world. China, most populous country right now with 1.4 billion people, and they basically make everything that humanity needs. China is the 2nd biggest economy on earth and largely predicted to overtake the United States of America as being the world's biggest economy by the end of the decade. South Africa is the third largest economy in Africa and one of the major exporters of gold. The current 5 BRICS nations already have a GDP that is larger than that of G7. The relationship between BRICS and the US dollar is complex and evolving. While BRICS nations are gradually diversifying their reserves and challenging the dollar's hegemony, the United States dollar dominance is deeply entrenched. The future will likely to see the combination of continued dollar influence and gradual emergence of alternative currencies and financial arrangements. The BRICS countries, their growing economic powers, are striving to assert themselves into global financial landscape. While they challenge the United States dollar's dominance and seek to reduce dependence, the dollar's position as global reserve currency remains robust. The interplay between the BRICS and the United States dollar will continue to shape the future of the international financial system, with both entities influencing its trajectory.
Can the BRICS have the political stability? Do you see them coming together to adopt the one roadmap to deliver the goals of BRICS?